Boys and girls, we are back with Sunderland today. We've got Sheffield United who are third and Stoke are fifth. It is not going to be a good day, especially when you have a look at how our form's been since the last episode. Welcome back. Since you were last with me for those matches against Middlesbrough and against Burnley, we then lost a couple more. We haven't actually played a lot in the grand scheme of things, but after that 2-0 loss against Burnley, we then lost 1-0 against Hull and 1-0 against Preston, so we literally didn't score for 3 whole games in the league. We then did manage to beat Luton 3-0 and Magne Hansen managed to get himself a couple of goals. So it's not all bad, but today, as I mentioned, we've got the last 2 games of the season. We find ourselves up against 3rd and 5th place just to finish that season off. As it stands at the moment, we are in 14th place. We could, results going our way. Oh, maths, trying to do some maths here. We could go as high as 11th. 10th and Leeds would be too far for us. Obviously, this would all require Blackpool, Cardiff and Preston losing, all of 3 of them losing both of their remaining games. So it's unlikely to happen, but we are sort of mid-table. If we're having a look at the club vision, the supporters are very pleased that we've avoided relegation. They're not really talking about this top half finish that we were worried about. The board is happy with us, so we're just going to go and play some football. And of course, if you do enjoy today's episode, please do drop a like down below. Always forget to ask at the start of episodes, and it would be really appreciated. This is the lineup we're going to be using against Sheffield United now. I'm going to explain, because there's possibly, I'd say a couple, maybe one weird bit in this, and that weird bit is Pettersson that's starting in goal. There's a couple of reasons for this. Patterson, I've just realised they're called Patterson and Peterson. Oh dear. Patterson is actually out injured, but we'd already brought Peterson into the side before that, actually. So he played against Luton. He's made 1 appearance and got himself a clean sheet and a 7.8 rating, which is a really good debut. I also mentioned before when we brought him into the club that maybe he is our goalkeeper for next season. Patterson is great. Peterson has a little bit more potential, so we just wanted a bit of a look at him. There's not a huge amount left to play for this season. We've avoided relegation. We're not going to get into the playoffs. We're going to finish near about where we are, so Peterson going to be starting in goal. We then got our back 4 is Liddington, who we're continuing to play just because I think he's our left back with the most potential. We've got Bruxer and Ballard in the centre of defence, and we've got Sekete over on the right again, who is our highest potential right back. We then got Matete, Reguigui. It's probably time to us to sign an actual deep line playmaker whose name I can pronounce. Lewis Nightingale, please, I'm looking at you. He's alongside White, and then we've got Stewart over on the left. That's because Anthony is injured. Again, I don't think it says on his reports that he has a lot of injury problems. It says he doesn't enjoy big matches, but if we have a look at the injuries since we got here, which was around here, I think he was out with a tight groin for a day. Then he was out with pulled ankle ligaments for 2 weeks. Then he was out with a cold for 3 days. And he's now been out for 3 weeks so far with a twisted ankle. He just seems to be injured quite a lot, really. So Stewart starting over there, Clark starting on the right, and Hansen starting up front for this match. And here we go then. Let's just get straight into this match against Sheffield United. It'd be nice to, get a couple of good results at the end of the season, potentially go out on a little bit of a high. And then from there, in the next episode, it is pretty much rebuild the team. Maybe not in its entirety. Obviously, if you have a look at our team today, Pettersson would still be here. Peterson, I don't know. Our goalkeeper here next season, Sekete, I'd imagine, will stay. Ballard will stay. Liddington will stay. Matete will stay. White, Clark, and Hansen. So it's not a complete rebuild, but I think there's definitely maybe some improvements to be made on some of those players. There's definitely some depth to be brought in, and some depth that can come in and out of the team without me wanting to cry when it does come in and out, because we significantly weaken the team. I think we definitely do need a lot more depth. And we need improved depth. We've got depth down in the development centre. I've mentioned this before, but the problem is the best player down there currently is current National League level, and I don't think really we can afford to be playing a National League level player in the Championship. We've just given away possession really cheaply here, although we have won it back pretty quickly through Clark, who's now going to, I'd imagine, he's cut inside. That one's been played into Stewart. Stewart has added his 11th goal of the season. That was a really good counter-attack, in all fairness. We didn't really start very well there, but we've regained possession pretty quickly. And we've mentioned before, Stewart's just a really big lad. Might be here next season. I mean, it kind of depends if we can sell him. He is a pretty good squad sort of rotation depth option. But I think it is age, which, if I remember rightly, he's around sort of 30 at the moment. He's 31 at the moment. We're playing him £28,000, which is makes him one of the highest wage earners at the club. For someone that we're not really invested in and isn't really part of our future plans, I feel like 28,000 is a lot of money. Let's remember as well that we have literally no money at Sunderland. We also don't really have much of a defence. I'd like to improve this defence slightly. I don't know how we improve it, because if you look at Ballard and Bruxler, definitely they are very, very good centre-backs, at least on paper. But they do seem to concede quite a lot. Liddington, probably a little bit inexperienced. Sakete is probably a little bit inexperienced, and actually that came in from across, so maybe it is a case of our left and our right backs lacking a little bit of the experience of the two centre-backs. Bruxler, obviously not all that old, but does play for Chelsea, so you'd imagine he's played youth football at quite a high level and got that experience. But definitely could be bringing in some right backs, some left backs. We could be bringing in some improvement in defence, depending what's available. It is going to be a little bit of a struggle in this transfer window, just because, oh my God, just because of the issue with finances. Stewart just fully kicked a man then. I mean, Stewart had just heard me say we don't know if he'll be here next season after he scored a goal, and he's just fully done with it and has just kicked a player. That's unlucky as well, because Peterson did well to save that penalty, but then concedes anyway, and I don't feel like the second one is necessarily his fault. He probably would have hoped that his defence would have helped him out a little bit there. I mean, he's made a really good save, and then no one's really reacted quick enough to it. White has actually got a tackle in, but it's not really done a lot. And then we've got defenders here that are just kind of staring at the player on the ball. We're having an absolutely awful game here. We are 2-1 down inside 30 odd minutes or so. We're not really offering a lot in terms of attack, and we're sacrificing quite a lot of possession as well. We are just going to encourage the team. I'm just going to drop it down to balanced, which is what we played with for a lot of our Forest Green career, and it does seem to allow us to control the games quite well. Corner here for us though, into Bruxner, and then it does fall to the far post, which I think was Liddington on the far post. He is relatively tall comparatively. He's not actually that tall, but compared to everyone else in the team, quite tall, and almost got on the end of that one to add to his goal tally for the season. I say add to it, I don't remember if he's actually scored yet. I think he has. He's obviously a homegrown Sunderland lad as well, which is why we are trying to use him as much as we can. Sakete here over to that guy whose name I can't pronounce, Ballard to Matete now, over to Bruxer. We're just holding this quite patiently. I do get a little bit anxious when we play around at the back, because we do have a habit of misplacing a pass or just doing a little bit too much and getting tackled, but we do seem to be doing okay here. Bruxer's just launched that one forward now. Hansen's got on the end of it. Hansen has not really done a huge amount with it in the end, but he has won us a corner. We have got a corner here. We could do something with this. It looks like it's going to be aimed at the far poster off of this one. Instead, it comes in at the near post. I'm completely wrong. It's not at the far post at all, and it kind of comes to absolutely nothing. We've definitely looked a lot better since we've dropped to that balanced mentality. Although I hate playing with it, I'd much rather play positive mentality or attacking mentality. But we look better. Maybe if we can just go get a draw out of that. I feel like that's a pretty good result. It's just annoying. Brewster there managing to rob whichever defender that was. I think it was Bruxler. And just go through on goal, pretty much easily carving us apart. And we're pretty lucky that he goes and misses that one, really. We're just going to make couple of substitutions here as well. I'm not entirely sure where yet. No one's playing awfully. Harvey White, I guess, can come off, and Hawaii can come on there. Everyone else is kind of doing all right. I mean, Liddington can come off, and Adaramola can come on that left-hand side as well, just because I think he's a little bit more of an attacking wing-back compared to Liddington. As much as we want to use Liddington as much as possible, we'd also... Oh, Ross Stewart. We'd also like to get 3 points out of there. Ross Stewart is determined to stay in next season by the look of it. Again, I'm not a massive fan because of his age and the fact he's just a big lump of a target man, and it's not really how I like playing Football Manager or how I like seeing football in real life. A big lump of a target man, you know, a la Andy Carroll, I guess. Nothing, no offence to Andy Carroll meant at all. You know, we could have picked Peter Crouch, but I think Andy Carroll kind of fits that big chunky man a little bit better. It's just not really how I like seeing football played. It's a personal preference. Obviously, trying to play this as realistically as possible, it isn't the sort of player I would bring in. Just having a look at this, Hansen can come off as well, and Zach Emerson can come on. We'll just confirm those substitutions. We can make one more in a minute, should we need it. But Ross Stewart, despite being an absolute big lump of a man, is kind of looking like maybe we should keep him a squad rotation next season. Should we be thinking about including him a little bit more? Because when he does come into the team, he is quite good, but he is good in situations where we're just sort of lumping the ball forward, and I'd like to play with a little bit more finesse than that. You know, that's why we're bringing in the likes of Hansen, guys with a bit of pace, maybe a bit more of a dainty frame to them. You know, they're 5'8", 5'9" sort of strikers that have got a huge amount of Usain Bolt-like pace, and that's how they score their goals, rather than just pumping balls forward and crossing it into the box and hoping for a header off of our striker. It's not really what we want to identify here as at Sunderland. But that said, Stewart there once again is now just set us up for our third. Again, he's too... I'm just going to continue slating him and saying he's a big lump, and I don't really want him in here next season, because every time I've done that so far, he's scored a goal, or in this case, set up a goal. So we're going to continue saying it. Ross Stewart, you're not going to be here next season. You're a massive lump of a man. We'd have no desire to have you here ever. You're tired. Look at you. You're tired because you're such a big man with your 6'2", 85 kilo frame that you're tired. You've tired yourself out after 84 minutes. You call yourself a professional footballer. You know, you're only 31. You need to be able to see out this match. Poor guy. The fact that I haven't substituted him, and I'm berating him for being tired, but I substituted other players for being tired like 20 minutes ago. But never mind. Ball play through here to Emerson. Can we add a fourth? We think he's gone a bit too wide there. And he doesn't even draw a save from the goalkeeper, just hitting that one into the side netting instead. As it turns out, we're doing all right in this match, really. Emerson nodding that one on to literally no one, because there was no one running next to him to get there. Really, that should have been Robson in this case. I was going to say Clark, but obviously he's been substituted. Now, Sheffield United have pulled the ball back, and Peterson just about manages to do enough there to actually conduct the save. Just about. I mean, he made a bit of a deal of it, but he's just about pulled off a save. He's also got an 8.2 rating. I think that means his average for these two matches will be 2 played, 2 conceded, and an 8.0 rating, which we are going to have to make a decision next season. And given how he's performed in these 2 matches, we'll see how he performs in the last match as well. The decision might well be that we need to bring in Peterson instead of Patterson, even though Patterson has done absolutely nothing wrong and is a fantastic goalkeeper. Rather prioritise the potential. If we're going to get to the Premier League, we want to be playing with our 5-star potential goalkeeper rather than our 4-star potential goalkeeper. And it's a goalkeeper who's actually probably kept us in this today. I mean, look at Sheffield United, a 3.35 XG. Slightly skewed, admittedly, because they would have got a fair amount of XG just based on that penalty. But we take these wins. I mean, that's good. We've lost a lot of matches recently. I say a lot. I mean, we had a poor run of form here. But before that, we hadn't actually lost for ages. It was just that match against Burnley seemed to tip us over the edge a bit. I mean, we're just praise Stuart, give him a pat on the head. I feel like we've berated him enough for this episode. And then we're going to turn our attention to that last match, which is against Stoke. Stoke are 6 at the moment. They're going to want to win that one as well, because if QPR win, they could leapfrog them into the playoff positions. I mean, from our point of view, we're equal on points with Blackpool now. We could just about leapfrog Blackpool if Blackpool draw, for example, and we win. So we want to go and get a good 3 points there to end off our season. Have a 6-point episode. That's the plan. That's the dream. Let's go see if we can do it. In other news, not that it's related to the match, we have just had a bit of a youth intake as well. We haven't got a huge amount of potential come in, but if you do want to get yourself named after one of these players, have a look at the join button down below. You can get one of these players named after you, and you can just be a name in the game player, and we'll keep an eye on you throughout this save. We've got Dex O'Hara, you can see, is a right back over here. I'm just going to quickly press on these, and then you can pause and have a quick look at them if you want. We've got Peter Bogler, English 15-year-old centre back. He's exactly 6 foot as a centre back. And then we've got Martin Whittle, a 15-year-old right back as well, another 6-footer. So our main top talents are all defenders, and then we have got some guys down here, but honestly, I don't think any of them are going to be that good. Maybe Jacob Murphy. Jacob Murphy could be quite good. Again, it's another defender. Can I just have a look a second? Where's my head of youth development? Where is my head of youth development? You'll be here somewhere, I guess. Are you this one? Where are you? There's our head of youth development. So it is Jason Fardon, and he likes playing a 4-2-3-1 DM-AM wide. So there's no reason for him to be bringing in loads and loads of defenders that I can see. I guess that's just how the intake's fallen this year. But again, if you want to get your name on one of those players, hit the join button below. Not much in the way of changes then for this match against Stoke. In fact, I think it is just the 2 changes. Mbete coming in here instead of Bruxler, who's obviously going to return to Chelsea, and even Robson coming in over at the left wing. He is definitely not as good as Stuart. 100% not as good as Stuart, but like I said, we're not really in these matches to win them. We're in them to have a look at some of the team, just get some tactical cohesion and try and end the season on a high. In a completely other note, has anyone ever tried these? This isn't a sponsorship, and other energy drinks are available, but it's got a dinosaur face on it. How cool is that? Completely and utterly unrelated to Football Manager, I do admit, but they are really, really good. And when you're doing a big batch of recording, having an energy drink definitely helps out. Not that this is a big batch today. This is the only episode I'm actually recording. I'm off work for a week, and it's quite nice to do this at a little bit of a leisurely pace for you guys. Anyway, enough about what's going on in my life. It's not really overly important. We are here for the football in Sunderland, and Sunderland at the moment are once again giving away possession off of their own attacking situations, although Liddington has charged forward to head that one away. It's very unlucky that maybe Hansen or someone couldn't get on the end of it. I'm also not really sure what I think about Hansen. I do think we need a new defence. I genuinely think we had a message come up, I think from our assistant manager, one of our members of staff, in between this match and the last one, and it basically said, we're brilliant in attack, but the problem is we're so shaky in defence that we can walk over most teams in attack, but most teams can walk over us in attack as well. So we just kind of end up as can we outscore them? Stoke, of course, are having a really good season. I mean, they're right up there in the mix for the playoffs. So again, we're not really necessarily expecting to win these matches. Not this season. This season's gone. I mean, our main objective when we came in, and I've said this all the way along, was get in, get us away from the relegation zone, and then just write this season off. What we're very, very much focusing on is the summer transfer window and what we can bring in. We've kind of come in mid-season with no money available to really transform the team in the January transfer window. We've just conceded the second goal, though. That one was shoddy. That one was shoddy. Look at this. It's a corner. We kind of deal with it. I mean, it hits the post, and then Peterson may be showing a little bit that he's still inexperienced there, because he dives for it, doesn't get hold of the ball. He just really needs to lie on that one and smother it. and instead allows it to bobble around in the box. We concede a second. That was a decent reflex sort of save, though, although it does result in another corner here for Stoke. We've just conceded off of one of these. If this time we could just, like, boot it up the other end, or we can do that. See, that was goalkeeping. Peterson coming out and just really confidently claiming that ball. We like to see that, and now rolls it out to Ballard as we try and build an attack from the back here. Although, once again, we're playing those passes so short. Short isn't the issue. It's the fact we play them too short and they don't really get all the way to the player they're intended to get to. And it allows, especially teams like Stoke that are going to press you, that, like I said, are very high up the league and clearly know what they're doing this season and have a very clear identity. They're going to press you. They're going to put you under pressure. And when we're just misplacing passes like that, we're never really going to be in it. It just, again, I keep insisting on it, but just shows the improvement we need to make in the summer. We need to be bringing in some defenders that maybe can play out from the back. Maybe we're looking for defenders that have better passing attributes, potentially. We've conceded a third here. I mean, this match is gone. This match is fully gone. And there's not really a huge amount we can do about it apart from, I mean, just watch it happen and hope for the best, I guess, because, I mean, it's a write-off now, isn't it, really? Into the second half, we've already conceded inside a minute of the second half, so the team talk did absolutely nothing, and really at this point in the match, 60 minutes in, let's just make some substitutions. Is there anyone on the bench that we haven't really seen? I mean, we're going to bring Adaramola on just because I want to give him some game time at the end of the season to try and bring him here in the summer on a free, remembering his contract is ending at the end of his loan here. So we could eventually next month go and offer him a contract and hopefully he comes over to us and doesn't stay at Crystal Palace and we get him on a free, which I think we'd be very, very happy with. Robson we're going to keep on. In fact, no, Robson we're going to put up there. Hanson's going to come off and Ross Stewart can come on. Everyone else here, I mean, we're not massively interested in. I guess Scott Allardyce could come on instead of Matete there. But we haven't got any of our sort of young players on. Our other young striker, who I forget the name of, is out on loan. So he's over in Australia. He's a young Australian striker who's over on loan at Newcastle Jets at the moment. So we can't bring him on because he's not even in the country. I've just realised as well, when I sent that loan out, I hope it's not a season-long loan for Australia, by which I mean he's going to be there until December in our league next season, because that would be really awkward, because I quite like to bring him back. Probably should have checked that, really. Robson into Clark here. Clark back to White, and White just drags that one very slightly wide. And Bete's having an absolute stinker of a game as well. Bruxer can come on for his last appearance, I'd imagine, at the club. And Skete can come off for Thompson and come on and make his last appearance for the club. Both our loanees, I'd imagine, be returning to the clubs that they came from in the summer. I don't actually know where Thompson's from, but as I mentioned, Bruxer definitely from Chelsea. That's a bit of a naff end to the season. I mean, we haven't been battered in terms of stats, but definitely in terms of goals, it's not exactly great. It does mean we're going to finish the season in 13th. I mean, it's not exactly mid-table, but it's about as mid-table as you can get without being 12th. We're 3 points behind 12th. But we're on 60 points, which is, what, 17 points away from the relegation zone, considering we were, like, just above it when we got here. I think that's a good second half of the season. I think we've set out to achieve what we set out to achieve, which was avoid relegation. And now we just need to turn our attention to next season. And we will be doing that in the next episode. Next episode, we'll be having a look at the summer transfer windows. We'll be rebuilding the Sunderland squad, provided we have any finances, which is the first thing we're going to look at tomorrow, maybe after the season review. Leave a comment down below today. Let me know, what do you think our transfer budget is going to be next season? For context, it currently says our minimum guaranteed budget is 2.38 million. What do you think we're going to get? Let me know down below and I'll see you there.